Welcome to Vibes and Wisdom with Carla, where I bring you the wisdom and you catch the vibes. Have you ever been in a situation where you said something and immediately after saying it, you realize, dang, I should not have said that? Or there's something you wanted to say, but you didn't say it, and later on, you realize you should have said that, and you regretted that you didn't say it. So the beautiful thing about the podcast is I will give you that balance of when to speak up and when to shut up. Let me share this with you. I met this gentleman, he was 700 pounds. And he explained to me that he had an affair. His wife had an affair. And he never told anyone because he was so hurt, but he decided to confide in this one cousin. So he told his cousin, and they were having a Thanksgiving dinner over at his house. He said the entire family came over, and he has a huge family. Around the Thanksgiving table, the cousin who he confided in decided he was going to blurt out everything that this guy told him about the affair. So he said he's there listening to his cousin, watching him in disbelief. And all of his other family members, they teasing him and they laughing him. Some saying leave him alone. He was the spectacle of the moment. If that had happened to you, what would you have done? Would you have spoken to the cousin, or would you have just stayed silent? Well, I'll tell you what the gentleman did. He said he was so humiliated, angry, and in shock that he stayed silent. He didn't say anything. Now he turned to food. That's how he got to 700 pounds. He said food became his best friend. He was what you call an emotional eater. And I know some people will say, what? Oh, no. He went to the extreme. He felt so badly. I mean, it's an affair. You tell your cousin, why are you feeling so bad that you should go and eat? No. Now, this is what I would say to people who may want to judge his reaction. Don't ever invalidate somebody else's feeling. What you would be doing is disregarding his emotional reality. For him, he knows what that pain feels like. You may not be able to understand or relate. It doesn't mean that he is wrong. The other thing is, everybody has a right to one thing in life. And that right is to how you feel. Because people should not tell you if you should feel a certain way. That's your emotional experience. So I would give some guidelines in whether to speak up at that particular time would have been the right thing to do or the most appropriate, or whether to shut up. And this is what I would say. If you are going to speak up to that guy, the cousin, he seems to be an attention seeker, and you are already at a disadvantage because you shared personal information with him and he spilled it out there. If you attempt to address that situation with him as attention seeking as he seems in front of all of your family members, I believe he would just put him on blast. Oh, he'd finish him off. So the best thing in a situation like that is timing. You could have a conversation and you could speak up, but would that be the right time? I don't think so. I think maybe the next day, call him on the telephone or pay him a visit, man to man. Let's talk now, all right? And you could share with him how he made you feel and what you did not like, and how you think it could have been handled, or what that conversation would look like. You could speak up at that time, but that would have been about timing, the place as well. Is this the right place for me to speak up? Another thing would be in that mood, that emotional state of mind. You're angry right now. And sometimes when people are enraged, they say things that they should not have said, and words come out as though it's a dagger, as it's poisonous, it's coming at you. And sometimes you regret what you said. So ask yourself, is this the right place? Is this the right time? Is this the right mood for me to deliver my message? Because your message may not come out respectfully and appropriately. So you should take these things into consideration when you have to speak up in certain instances. Another time to speak up is when your values are being compromised. If something is not morally or otherwise acceptable, you need to speak up and let people know that that is not going to be tolerated. Now, I know some people have challenges with verbally expressing themselves when they are dissatisfied about something. Sometimes it puts them in a very awkward situation and they prefer not to deal with the confrontation, so they stay silent. Gotta be careful with that, because sometimes your silence could mean it's okay. At least that's how people may perceive it. And they will continue to be a certain way with you, thinking that it's acceptable when it's not. And in those instances, again, you would have to speak up by setting boundaries. You have to teach people how to treat you. So you have to let people know again what is appropriately acceptable or not. All right? The other thing when you speak up is if there are injustices, if somebody is treating you unfairly or your family unfairly, am I tired or what? I don't think that I am. I think I'm well rested. So why am I making all these little verbal mistakes? All right, let me get back on track. Yes, treating you or your family unfairly, you got to let them know. Oh no, I'm not going to accept that. Don't do that. All right? So let's look at some times when silence is acceptable, and there are instances when to keep the peace. There might be an argument, a heated argument that you can get involved in, but you choose to protect your energy. You're not going to provoke the other person by giving them some 1 or 2 words that you know. You don't have to say much, but the little that you're saying, you know it's deadly and you know how to get at them. So in other words, you kind of teasing the person and adding fluid to fire. Got to be careful. Protect your energy. You don't need to do that. Instances like that, you could stay silent, because if that argument gets overly heated, it could be very dangerous. All right. Another thing is, have you ever heard the saying, do not argue with a fool, because a passersby will not know the difference? You busy going tit for tat, arguing, answering back with the person, and the person not making sense. You feel you're making sense, but it's so much noise and quarrel that after a while, the whole argument loses its substance. So instances like that, you don't want to be perceived as a fool. So be quiet, stay silent, preserve your energy. Be silent when you have to listen. Listen more. Speak less. You can learn so much about someone if you listen to what that person is saying to you about themselves, or just listen to how they perceive people and situations. You learn a lot by listening more. When you talk, you're not getting time to listen and understand because you're too busy talking. All right? So I will end by saying, there's a saying that I use when I do my training classes. For people who have been in my courses, you'd hear me say this time and time again. Think before you speak. Think. Think. And the T is for, is it true? H, is it helpful? Or is it harmful? Because your words can either harm you or help you. There are there is power in your words. I, for inspiring. Are your words inspirational? Is it helping the person? Is it encouraging them to move ahead? N, is it necessary? And that's one that I use all the time. Sometimes I'm about to say something and I say, Carla, is it necessary? Leave it alone. You don't always have to help with your words. You don't always have to interject and intervene. Sometimes you just have to leave people and they will learn on their own. It's not necessary. And the last one is K. Is it kind? What you are saying, is that something that you could say in that person's absence? Is it kind words? And if it's not, don't say it. Think before you speak. And with that being said, I would end the podcast and I would ask you, if you like what you heard, press the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, and comment. Thank you. Until we meet again.